All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show, your one-stop shop for all things Commanders. It is indeed a Super Monday today. George, we welcome YouTuber extraordinaire, the host of the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel. Rio Robinson is our guest today. Rio, you were there last night. Tell me about it.
Oh my God, what a time to be alive and to be a Washington fan. This is like the season we've dreamt about for so long. The atmosphere, the electricity. Oh my God, we took like a victory lap at the end of the game around the mezzanine. Oh, it was beautiful, man. It was a beautiful time to be at that stadium. And boy, do we have a quarterback.
Absolutely.
George, you were there too, and everything I keep hearing from the people that were there is it was electric last night, and
Electric,
that the
man.
stadium had not been like that in a long time.
It was awesome, man. It's positive vibes. Like I got there early. I always get there early around 6 o'clock and hang out inside the stadium, catch the vibe of the stadium. It was pouring rain at first. I was like, oh shit. I was worried a little bit, like, or is it actually going to be a pretty crappy game? People came out, man. The lower bowl was completely full. I'm sure Rio can talk to it too. The light display was awesome, man. When they
That
came
was
up, it was
so
awesome.
much fun, man. Oh my God.
That was for the player intros.
Yeah, and they did it later in the game as well. It's pretty cool.
The one in the second half might have been better. They played All of the Lights by Kanye West. Oh my God, it was so good, man.
I got a video clip of it. I'm going to show you all a little bit like later on in the show, but it was dope, man. It was cool. The player intro was dope. It was real fun. They had Smoke and Lid just coming out. All the lights during later in the game was awesome as well. But it was pumped, man. Lower bowl was pumped. We got out 7-0. The crowd was ready for it. They're defense cheering. It was live, man. It was cool. Kind of got a little bit down like when they started getting up a little bit, but the second half was crazy. Overtime, they were pumped up, and it was a vibe, man. I'm sure Rio could talk to us. Good times.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the numbers here real quick. Just do some of the business side. 24 for 36 for Jaden Daniels, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. The big number, of course, is 16 carries for 127 yards at 7.9 a pop. And I saw Mina Kimes post earlier today. I wish I had sent it to you, George, so we could pull it up. But it was like the rushing over expected and the EPA per running play were like top of the whole season for any running back or anybody. So it's not like he was just out there getting beat up on. I mean, those rushes were huge. Brian Robinson actually ends up at 4.6 yards per carry. Not terrible, but boy, we'll get there, I'm sure. But the running game outside of Jaden was rough.
It's been like that for weeks now. It's been
real.
Our running game is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's odd is they were in the tops of the league through like the first 5 games and running, right? I mean, Brian Robinson was off to this career start with rushes and touchdowns. And then for whatever habit feels like since the bye week, maybe it's been no rushes.
Everything started going downhill once we started playing the Steelers. For whatever reason, they shut down our run game and they kind of shut down the zone read with Jaden Daniels as well. And it's been bad since then, which is like 6 weeks now, right? So Brian Robinson has been kind of nicked up a little bit, but like I was a big B-Rob proponent. Actually, I like him as a player, but I don't think, I don't want to get on him right now, but I think we need an upgraded running back next year. I think he's not the answer in my opinion. He's a complimentary back, but I don't think he's the back in my opinion.
Don't shoot when George says that, guys. Do not shoot when George says that, because some of us have been trying to spread that gospel. We love Brian Robinson. We love the story. We love the work he puts in and what he's capable of. But I think he's a complimentary back as well. Like we try to run with he's David Montgomery thing. He's like a poor version of that. And he needs a lead back. Like the other guys aren't as talented as B-Rob, but they're more decisive. Chris Rodriguez has vision. If Chris Rodriguez has speed, he could be our number 1 running back here. We need a difference maker in that back. But that should just show you how crazy Jaden's season is. We're doing this without a legit RB1, without a younger legit tight end 1, with 1 good receiver. He's making Olamide Zaccheaus look like T. Higgins.
Yeah.
It's wild, and that's why people laugh when you start talking about the definition of what an MVP is. But take Jaden Daniels off the team, and this is another 4-win football team again. Like, I mean, that's easy. The wins that are specifically because he's on the football team are something I don't know that I've ever really seen before, at least not this early off in somebody's career. I remember looking at my wife yesterday and saying, this one of them dudes, man, that just doesn't like losing. Like, nobody likes losing, but you can tell, even though he's sitting there on the sidelines with the big Magic Johnson smile, he does not like losing, and maybe one of the more clutch players quickly in the league. It's been fascinating. To your point, Rio, I was watching that. I was watching the Packers Vikings game in the 4 o'clock window, and again, talk about running backs with impact. I mean, those guys. I mean, particularly Jones is getting a little older, and he's still got, I'd say, more juice than anybody we've got. George, did the running game was the running game more affected by the loss of Eckler than I think we realized or gave credit to? Because that also is about time that the running game vanished, was when Eckler went out.
Boy, Eckler being back would be amazing.
Absolutely. I think Eckler adds a wrinkle. I think he definitely has a little more pop than B-Rob does. He has good vision. He's a great pass blocker, too. We've been doing the all 22 breakdowns. He's awesome in protection. And we're going to show that picture later on in our show, Doug, with Jaden Daniels all rolled up. B-Rob missed that pass protection block, and that's why Jaden Daniels got hit like that. So I think Eckler coming back will definitely add that element. I think it's our offensive line, man. I think our offensive line isn't that strong. I think we need a severe influx of talent there. Wiley isn't that great at right tackle. Brendan Coleman's pretty solid, but maybe he's more of a right tackle.
Trent Scott yesterday at right tackle.
That's true. That's true, right? And I think exactly right. And I think which is even worse, right? And then Brendan Coleman, he's pretty solid as a left tackle, but is he the left tackle of the future? We don't know, right? I'm going to put that in Adam Peters' hands. Maybe he's a right tackle kind of guy. And we just see the influx of talent. I think our offensive line really isn't doing that well. And going back to both of y'all point, I thought the game yesterday just kind of showed you how special Jaden Daniels is and how important it is to surround him with talent. He is willing the team to victory. We have such a deficit, y'all. Our offensive line isn't that great. Our running back isn't that strong. Our tight end's 35 or something like that. We need to surround him with severe talent. And I don't understand why people are half stepping on that. They're like, hey, why spend big on a wide receiver this offseason? We should absolutely get a wide receiver 1A pair with Terry McLaurin.
All in and maximize a rookie contract elite quarterback.
Absolutely right, Rio.
Number one asset in the NFL.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Does the fact that Jaden Daniels doesn't mind to distribute the ball make needing a premier number 2 wide receiver is important? Can you know what I mean? Can you get away with a little bit lesser of talent, but because he's spreading the ball around so much?
Possibly. I just think that guys are going to want to be a part of this. Guys are I agree there. You can't tell me a T. Higgins or a Garrett Wilson, they're not seeing this, man. They're not getting this with old Aaron Rodgers in New York right now. But T. Higgins, he plays for Burrow. That would not be the biggest drop-off going from a star to a star. If you're going to not be able to be paid by the Cincinnati Bengals, you look if you're picking between the Patriots and the Commanders, is that as serious? I know you want to be a number 1. You're going to be a number 1 here. We're going to have co-number 1s with you and Terry McLaurin, because there are days where Terry's taken out of the game. Example, last night. Terry McLaurin had a catch for 5 yards on Sunday Night Football, and we won the game, man. How about that, man?
Yep. And Doug, to that point, Doug.
Go ahead. Yep.
With Jaden Daniels, all because he can carry a team doesn't mean he has to or should, right? Every single week. Let him distribute the ball. Let him be that. Let him cook. Let him be the playmaker that he is. But they need to surround him with talent. I think maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I see Jaden Daniels very similar to Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is an elevator MVP that could, they surround him with a run game and defense, and look how well he's playing. He's having the best year of his career right now because he has a solid run game and a strong defense. He needs more pass makers. He needs more playmakers around him. I think Jaden Daniels, you need someone that can win. I think Jamison Crowder, he's 30 some odd years old. He can win quick, but we need someone that can do it consistently, right? We need someone that can get this jump ball. I'm a big T. Higgins guy. I want T. Higgins in the offseason, in my opinion.
Commanders fans are going to be real upset when the Bengals re-sign T. Higgins.
Yeah,
I think they're going to try to play cap gymnastics to get both of those guys there.
I agree with that.
They're in a window.
Yeah, I really feel like we're going to shoot our shot for Garrett Wilson, y'all. I feel
you'd trade the first round pick for Garrett Wilson?
Yes. Yeah, we're picking we're going to pick 23rd, 24th, and
it'll be low.
Yeah, take it. And it may not cost that. It should, but you know how value is in this league. It may end up running us a 2. and some change. And I would definitely do that because Garrett Wilson's better than whoever we're drafting in the 20s of this draft. And he wants out of there.
Did you see who interviewed for the Jets job today?
Riverboat Ronald Eugene. That's crazy.
You feel like that's probably an IOU from somebody in the league rather than a serious offer, or George, you think old Ron's going to get a serious look?
No, I think they're just picking his brain. I think they did it. I think he interviewed last year too. Didn't he? A couple places. I think maybe even the Giants or the Cowboys. I don't know. I forget where he interviewed. It wasn't Giants or Cowboys.
He interviewed for like some non-head coach position for.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. So I know they interviewed him some places. I think like they just want to do their due diligence, pick his brain, kind of get an outside perspective on their roster, but they're going to get someone else. I think there's going to be some offensive coordinators going to be out there looking for him. So we'll see.
I honestly think it's a real interview because the Jets conduct bad business. That's stupid ass franchise.
That's a good point.
I would not be surprised if they're like, oh, we need a culture setter. And, they could lie to themselves. Look at what Washington's doing. He helped put them in. He really didn't. But,
guys away from the draft. Keep him away from the draft.
Guys love Ron in the league. So I think actually is getting a look.
We need to know what Ron's Madden rating is.
Good one, Doug.
47
coaching.
George, you're down there pretty close at 109. One thing that I keep hearing from guy, I have not been able to see Jaden in person, but the one thing I keep hearing is you can't fully appreciate two things: the zip on the ball coming out and just how fast his legs move gliding. Like you don't get a real appreciation for how fast that dude is until you're there at the stadium watching it live.
He's the best athlete on the field. That's what it comes down to, right? And I think that's why he's so special, because not only is he the best athlete on the field, he has the ball in his hands on every single play, right? He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, he's very decisive. He does have some zip. What I like about him, he's a quick release. He always had a quick release. He was a finished product coming out of college, and that was like sort of the knock on him during the pre-draft process. We're like, oh, can he get better? Is he maxed out because he has Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors? But like, he's smart, man. And what I like about him, he processes very well. But Doug, going back to his athleticism, he just glides, man. I don't even think he's really even trying, which is ridiculous, right? Like he's like running. Like there's one play, it might have been 4th and 1 or like 3rd and 11 or something like that, where he took off. He basically got a first down. He made like Grady Jarrett and then another like linebacker miss, like a good linebacker miss, and he's kind of like this slowly floated out of bounds. And basically Mike Tirico was like, that was too easy for him. It was ridiculous. Or Chris Collinsworth was clapping for him or something like that. It was ridiculous. It was
fun. Let's see. What you brought some pictures with you, George, from the game?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Rio, jump in on this, man. So these are some of my videos from yesterday from the game. So you probably have your own experiences as well.
I just dropped the vlog, actually. Yep, I just dropped the vlog. I take a bunch of pictures and videos. Hell yeah.
All right, let's do it, man. So let's start from the beginning. Let's have some fun with this. So basically, I'm going to start off. Let me share my screen real quick. Let me actually change the
while you're doing that, George. It was interesting. You brought up Brian Thomas Jr. and Neighbors. There were reports out of San Diego that I guess LA now, but that if they hadn't taken Joe Alt, they actually had Brian Thomas Jr. rated higher on their board, and that was the receiver they would have taken. And
he's a freaking, he's one of the best height, weight, speed combination. He looks like young Randy Moss. He's so good, man.
He is.
The guy that I always wanted was Malik Neighbors. I thought he basically was wide receiver 1. People loved Marvin Harrison Jr. because that pedigree. He's a polished product as well. But Harrison Jr. will be a great wide receiver coming up. But I just like the dog in Malik Neighbors, man. I thought he was man, he gets the ball. He's great run after catch. He displayed that in LSU, man. He just runs with the ball angry. So I love that.
Glides.
Crazy that Thomas could be better than all of them.
Yeah, that's wild, right? Yeah,
that dude won me a couple fantasy leagues this year.
That boy is a dog, man. Look at our guy.
Dennis coming off. He's so poised, man, and he knows how to work the crowd. It's dope, man. It's walking into the tunnel.
He's a bona fide superstar.
People were yelling JD5 in the background. It's dope, man. I love that. That was awesome.
There just aren't going to be many records that he doesn't break by the time he's done with this thing. I saw the 4 Washington PR people for X were in their bag last night because there were like 10 different things that he beat out.
Yeah, they're going crazy.
Hey, look at the hog farmers, our guys.
Yeah, man, good people right here, man. So this is I'm lucky. I sit in section 109, row 3, right behind all these guys. Good people, man. We had fun all year long. It's cool being surrounded by like fans that really are into it. They love it, man. And when they love the game, and you have someone to kind of bounce ideas off of. It's great, man. So we always have one Cowboy fan kind of hanging around us, but everything else is pretty.
Hey, George, did you fall to your knees like I did when Jaden got buckled up in the first half?
Absolutely, yeah.
That was a war flashback.
That was PTSD, man. The whole crowd got quiet, real. You can attest for that. People were scared to death. It was crazy, man.
I'm glad I wasn't recording anything because the noise that came out of my mouth when he got buckled up like that. Yeah. I literally, I've never made a sound like that. I shrieked.
I was on my knees like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, not again. But we're touched by angels now. We don't have a dark cloud. We're a team of destiny, and we got one of the chosen few here now. So we don't have to worry about that. But that is terrifying.
Absolutely. We're lucky he's that 24-year-old body. All of us are a little bit older than that, right? I couldn't be doing any of that stuff, right?
Hey, so them little tree branch legs he got are strong, man.
Absolutely. Let me see what else I got. Hold on over here.
Man.
This is pretty cool.
You got the light show, right?
I got the light show. I'll put that on in a second. So this is pretty cool. So we actually, this is the Jeremy Reeves proposal, which is pretty cool. He's right here in front of us. That was real cool. I don't know if you guys see, there's a sign on the bottom right here. They planned it out ahead of time with the hog farmers, where they just had a sign where it was like,
so does the proposal happen if we lose?
I don't know. I was wondering about that.
Right? How does that work? You tuck it away and hold it for next
tell Chris, you're like, put it back in the pocket.
Went to the training camp. What's he going to do after that? Let me do a couple more. So this is becoming a habit now. So Johnny Newton's sits right behind us in 109. And every game he starts jumping into our stands right here, which is pretty cool. So he's been up here kind of hanging out. He's taking pictures with Chris and all of us. It was fun. It's a good time hanging out with him. Let's see what else I got in here.
You mentioned it earlier, Rio, and we've been talking about it on the pod for a while, and we're not the only ones, but I think you're right. With what they've got going on here, you can tell the guys are having fun and playing for each other. This is quickly going to become a destination for players in free agency, which also sounds crazy to say.
Wild. So fast, too. Like, we're the only team that can simultaneously say, we're rebuilding and winning. We're about to win 12 games in a rebuild year. And then we can't hold our head down if we're one and done in the playoffs because we're sitting on $120 million of salary cap. We have a full litany of draft picks. Like, this is not normal what we're doing right now. We need to all soak it in.
If you can win and learn at the same time, it's unbelievable, right? That's a dream scenario.
69% of the roster turned over this year. I mean, it's just incredible. And that was at the beginning of the season. That's not for guys that have moved on since.
Mm-hmm. This is the Chris Rodriguez touchdown. What's funny about this, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Barstool Presidente, like David Portnoy. He had $400,000 on a Brian Robinson touchdown run.
I'm so glad he lost.
He was so pissed. He was like, what the hell? He's like raging out, basically. Well, how could you bench Brian Robinson for this guy? But here's the touchdown right here.
That second effort that got him in, because I thought that play was a disaster. I was like, oh my God, a pitch to beat the C-Rod?
Absolutely. Man. Big touchdown here.
Hey.
He's going to end up getting more run, isn't he?
Cliff called a fantastic last three quarters. Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have it in here. I'm sure we'll look at it on the All 22 tomorrow, but that fake reverse to get Jaden through the guard tackle on the right side somewhere. I mean, that play call was incredible. And that's the other thing where you talk about doing all this in year one. They're also doing it with a head coach that most of the fan base didn't want, with an offensive coordinator that most of the national pundits were clowning, and a bunch of one and done free agents that I don't think a lot of people around the league thought were going to be big deals. Like,
they say, Washington signed the 2017 Pro Bowl roster.
I'm sure you guys saw that one tweet that's circulating right now, but it was like this one dude was like, they signed Dan Quinn, awful. They signed Cliff Kingsbury, awful. Bobby Wagner sucks. They drafted Jaden Daniels over Drake May. They basically are wrong on every single aspect of the tweet.
Joe guy, his name's like, is that the Joe guy?
It's not. It's not
I think that's
former
Resh.
scout. It's not former scout. It's a different dude. So this is what Rio was talking about before. So just to give you some context, this victory got the whole crowd pumped up. So we're up 24-17. We punt the ball to the Falcons.
When did it stop raining?
Like right before game time.
Okay. There was no rain once the game started. Like
it
was great. Yep.
It was pouring going into the game, stopped right before game time. It drizzled a little bit during halftime and stopped again. So we're at fourth quarter where you kick the ball to the Falcons. They're pretty good about like being like intuitive about when to play these, like the light displays. Because this hyped up the crowd, like critical moment of the game, we should shut them down. And it was dope. Like they played all the lights by Kanye West, and they put this is the video right here. It's dope. It's awesome.
This was so cool because no one was expecting this.
Not at all.
Right.
It came out of nowhere. Like commercial break comes and it just blacks. The stadium just blacks out. Like whoa. Wait till they add some color to it, like they do in other stadiums. Like
absolutely,
throw some red and stuff.
Absolutely, it's so dope, man. Because we've all been going through it for years, man. We've been going to like the stadium where the speakers are broke and like they have a really weak halftime show and all that. Now I think they're starting to evolve a little bit, so it's fantastic.
Well, and one of the things I noticed just from this picture that the new group has done. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but at least from TV. The field looks fantastic.
Oh, the playing surface looks great. When have we ever seen in December green grass?
That's the last home game, and the field still looked incredible.
After a game of rain, too. It was raining all day long, raining for a great part of the day, and it still turned out pretty well. This is a pretty good video. It's kind of it got cut off at the end, but basically, I was just BSing, and I was recording this play just for the hell of it. And this is the Quan Martin interception. But what ended up happening was after the interception, I was like, oh shit. And I basically put that phone down and I missed the end of it, but I got the first part. So we'll see how it goes. Here we go.
Quan Martin balled out yesterday.
He did.
Yeah. We need a deep cover safety though, man. We need one of those bad, like a legit free safety.
So I was like, oh shit. Hey. But I got the aftermath. I got this over here where basically Quan Martin runs out to the crowd. All cheering up after the interception. It was pretty cool.
Hey, that burgundy on burgundy looked good on TV, man.
I was gonna say, I hate on it when it's on like social media and Twitter, kind of like that. But like under the lights, it looked real good last night, in my opinion.
It looks really good. Like I was mad we didn't wear black, but that burgundy helmet, burgundy jersey, burgundy, but now that looked really good, man.
It did look good. And then I got a couple of these. Doug, you have to frame these. I don't really know what you're going with this one.
I couldn't remember how close it got, but this touchdown catch by Ertz to win the game didn't get nearly enough credit. I mean, he snags this thing with his fingertips and then still has to get it into the body somehow because the funky touchdown catch rules. I just thought it was. I mean, you can't really see it from that angle, but I mean the fingertip grab. Ertz has had an incredible year. You can't tell me you expected Ertz to be playing like this when the season started.
He got paid yesterday too. You guys see that?
Yep, he got
did they give him an extension?
750,000 bonus. Now he got like a big ass bonus.
Oh, okay.
He got a huge bonus. I think he was like if he broke 60 catches, he got 250K. If he had like a certain amount of touchdowns, 250K. He basically had hit three different three different benchmarks. So they got 750K for it, which is crazy. So
I know y'all saw him moving on that one play. We got some yak out of Zach. What are we doing, man?
Yeah, I didn't know Zach. He was moving.
He was moving. Yeah, this is the play I was talking about where he just glides, man.
Yeah,
he's a gazelle. He's a big gazelle in the open field, and he, other than one play, like he's avoiding hits. Like on that one, play, honestly, I knew what was happening when he took that hit on the goal. He was trying to get in the end zone. He was not trying to stop at nothing. Took a nice little hit on his back. He's gonna feel that one today. But man, he picks his spots well.
Let me throw a question out to you guys real quick. You can tell me. Do you think that so now we locked up the game, right? We locked up we clinched the playoff spot going into week 18. Do we rest our starters? Do we give Jaden Daniels time to relax his body? Do you keep pushing hard to get that 6th seed? What do you guys think?
Well, there's two ways to look at it, right? They still can get up. Can they not get any higher? They can get to the 6th seed if they beat Dallas.
The Vikings got 5.
Yeah, Vikings. Yeah, the whole NFC North.
15, they got 15 wins or 14 wins. Yeah,
so it feels like you have to rest everybody. I mean, I can't imagine rolling Jaden Daniels out there and having that knee that we saw actually be a deal on a game that means nothing. But I'll say this: they didn't particularly play well after their bye week. So like maybe there's something to, like, the Chiefs have always done that, right? Like, even if they could rest guys, they don't. They just roll straight into the playoffs.
I think you have to play guys next. Maybe not the full game.
Yeah,
and
half maybe.
You want to know that you want to feel that Marcus Mariota could beat Cooper Rush without CeeDee Lamb, but at the same time, we're trying to hold firm with the 6th seed. If we lose and the Packers win, we fall back down to 7. I don't mind going to Philadelphia. I would rather, I don't know about you guys, I would rather send our guys to a dome in Los Angeles, send Jaden back to California, and take our run with that team I watched play the Cardinals over the weekend. And I feel like as good as they are with the Super Bowl pedigree, I like our chances to win a playoff game in LA.
Now that being said, Matthew Stafford and those 2 receivers are going to carve that secondary. It'll be a problem.
I'm curious, nursing the hell out of that hamstring on number 23.
I know. Yeah, we need him out there bad. The question I'm curious about is, if you're the Eagles, do you entertain letting Barkley get the record next week?
Oh, you have to.
See, and if he gets hurt, the season's over.
Oh yeah, the season's good. They're cooked. Because Jalen Hurts.
But against the Giants, though, it's very ironic, right? It's a times flat circle right there.
They have to let him get the record versus the Giants. I feel like we got to get Terry the record too, man.
Yeah.
Terry was in hell versus AJ Terrell last night.
We have a 1:00 game, right? So we can't wait or anything. That stinks. Like, I don't know. It's hard. I think Rio has the right idea. Maybe play a half, kind of get out there, see how the game feels, and then potentially bench the players. But then how nice would it be, man? Terry's banged up. He has an ankle right now. Jaden Daniels got hit a couple times this last game. Doesn't really matter. But then at the same time, the Eagles are a good team. I kind of like the Packers-Eagles matchup, too, because I think the Packers are good, man. I think the Packers can beat the Eagles.
The Packers could do what they did to Dallas last year to Philadelphia. I like that.
Exactly right. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's why I wouldn't mind that at all.
If the Vikings end up in the NFC Championship, let's just say they end up in the championship game. Can you really move on from Sam Darnold next year for JJ McCarthy, who's had 2 surgeries this year without even playing?
I'm not sure that you can.
It's hard, man. You have a rookie draft pick, man, 5 years under contract. But then again, we've seen it with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Alex, there's always that transitional period where you kind of have that rookie kind of incubating a little bit, but. I don't know. What if you were Sam Darnold?
Darnold is 27 years old. Put that through your mind.
Yeah, he's not. I didn't realize
he was that young. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's not old at all.
He left USC when he was like 20.
Because if they let him test the open market, someone's going to throw him a bag.
Somebody for sure.
I could see the Giants not taking a quarterback and going after Darnold or Kirk.
Kirk's cooked, but Darnold, I'm into.
He is. I can see the Giants doing it.
Raiders.
Yeah, the Vikings will have a really weird situation on their hands because it doesn't feel like a Alex Smith to Mahomes move. Like Darnold is playing the best football of anybody in the NFC, not named Jared Goff, maybe. He's just been fantastic this year. How much of that is the coach? I don't know.
I'm about to say a lot of that is the.
I was going to ask you a question.
Coaching them because McCarthy should be able to eventually slide in and do similar things because he's talented as hell. He's only 21 years old, so he has time that even if they do want to sit him for a couple years, they could do that. You get the 5 years of a first round draft pick. So hey, I'm not mad at them if they keep Sam cooking.
Speaking of the Vikings, fellas, so obviously NFL big picture. Coach of the year, right? I think the front runner is Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. But do you guys? Is there any credence? Should there be an argument for Dan Quinn in your opinion?
I don't see why you couldn't.
He's the runner-up for sure.
Yeah, no question. KOC, in your opinion, both you guys?
I think he's done more.
He's the one that got away that made me the saddest.
One at a time. I didn't hear what did you say?
Yeah, I was just saying he was the one that got away that made me the saddest. I mean, I know McVay and all the things, but KOC is just a different cat.
He is, man. And we picked Scott Turner over him, but like Kevin
Rivera
O'Connell, they're about to go 15-2 with Sam Darnold.
Ridiculous.
Like, put that into perspective for a second. We've seen Sam Darnold have 3 different careers in one so far, and the first 2 weren't good. And he's unlocked everything Sam was supposed to be coming out of USC this year. And it also helps when you have a run game, you have TJ Hawkinson, and you have the best receiver on one side. You have another first-round receiver on the other side. Look what, like, I keep telling people, could you imagine what Jaden could look like with weapons like Minnesota, weapons like Philadelphia, weapons like Detroit? They would win the Super Bowl with a talent like Jaden at quarterback.
Do the Eagles have the best roster in the league?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. If it ain't the best roster in the league, it's number 2 or 3.
I think they're the deepest team in the league, man. I think having Saquon come to the Eagles with that offensive line, that just changes everything. They're truly multiple, right? Because Saquon is the engine. He's the best player on the team. Like, Hurts is a decent quarterback. He's a distributor, and they have loaded wide receivers. But Saquon allows them to run the ball, which allows them to play defense, which allows them to blitz because they have a lead. It's a perfectly built team. If they, like, you know, I guess Howie Roseman, I'm not saying he's the best drafter in the world, but he puts together a good team. I got to give him credit on that.
Has the last couple of weeks been a knock on Jalen Hurts?
I don't know if I'd say
they scored the most points all season long with the 2 backups. And I mean, Tanner McKee came in and started lighting it up.
I don't know if it's a knock, but it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. You know, we have this feud with Eagles fans right now, so I like to call out everything about Jalen Hurts. Like, hey, Philadelphia Eagles fan, my rookie quarterback just threw more touchdowns this season than Jalen Hurts has ever thrown. He's never thrown for 25. He's never thrown for 24. His career high is 23 passing touchdown, and Jaden did that after he was put out a game early versus Carolina with 1 wide receiver to throw to.
Imagine the year Saquon Barkley had if Jalen Hurts doesn't scavenger up all the tush-push touchdowns. I mean, it's got to be 7. I mean, he's got 14 touchdowns on the year, Jalen Hurts does, just from rushing, most of them from the 1-yard line.
I think Saquon has 13 on his own, too, which is crazy.
Saquon would have like 25 touchdowns.
He could have easily had 20. It's insane. What is the biggest thing they'll need to do between now and the time that the playoffs start to really give them a chance for success?
Nurse that hamstring of the person that we traded for at the deadline, because if I have to watch Michael Davis on the field versus Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and company, I might throw up, because he gave me a deeper appreciation for Benjamin St. Juste watching him last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're already doing – they got to rest up for sure. And I'm going to ask you guys a question in a moment. They got to rest up for sure, and they got to start scouting already, man. I mean, that's the whole point. They have like such a big, large coaching staff. Somebody's already scouting the Rams offensive play call and defensive play call, and they're putting together a game plan right now. They have to do that because they have to figure out how to stop Puka. I think Cooper Kupp, you know, I think maybe Sanders still can maybe cover him. Cooper Kupp's still a dog, but I think he's starting to kind of lose a step. But Puka is nasty. Puka, you can't. And then Kyron Williams.
Yeah, and Robinson too. DeMarcus Robinson, he goes vertical and he gets behind defenses.
And Kyron Williams is an underrated running back as well. So there's a lot of talent on the Rams. So for sure. And then my last question for y'all is, so I guess Rio, I know Doug's perspective. So Rio, you keep talking about Lattimore. Do you regret the trade? Like, how do you feel about the whole trade?
Absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not. We knew what we were trading for when we got him, and we traded for a guy whose hammy was not the best this year. And I don't think they were prepared for it to be bombs away on Lattimore versus the Eagles, bro. They had that man defending 8 go routes. Like he defended like 7 go routes. Like, he put a lot of mileage on them hamstrings that day. Hopefully, I don't know. Something tells me we don't see him again this year, but I would love to have him in the playoff game, because I feel like we could run with them boys, man. I feel like we could run with anyone in the NFC.
Absolutely.
We have a puncher's chance because of Jaden, but our defense picks its spots, and in those spots, we're really good on defense. Those little spots where we're getting after the quarterback, we're having turnover type plays. You know, we never finish it. We never recover fumbles that we force. We always drop interceptions. But if we make some of those plays that we're leaving on the field, to add to whatever Jaden's doing, because he's going to show up back in California, we have a shot versus any of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was frustrating yesterday. There were a lot of penalties early on that kind of made that game clunky. I'm with you, Rio. When they're playing clean, they've got a chance to be in games with just about anybody. More important to have Lattimore back or Eckler?
Lattimore for me.
But like, while you're asked the question, what do we need to improve by the playoffs? We need to find our damn running game again.
Yeah.
Like the not quarterback running game, because we know what 5 do. We need running backs to be effective and keep the chains moving, because earlier in the year it was clockwork for us, man.
I think we're going to be in good shape, by the way. I think so. Eckler's on pace to come back, right? So he's in theory eligible to come back next week. He might, if he could, in theory, do that. For whatever you guys want to think about Jonathan Allen, he's coming back too. He was dressed ready to go yesterday, and then Lattimore as well. If we get Lattimore, Eckler, and Jonathan Allen going into that Rams game, and they're all pretty damn healthy, I like our chances there.
Is it just me, or is upgrading the D-line more important than upgrading the secondary next year?
I think secondary for me.
I think the secondary is the priority, but I would love to have like a Trey Hendrickson. I would love to go get like Hendrickson in the offseason. So let me float you guys an idea.
Right.
This is an unpopular opinion. What if we stack capital and trade both of the Alabama defensive tackles?
Why not? I don't see. I'm not scared of that, Rio. They're not doing much, man. I love those guys. They're not doing much.
They're just normal contributors at this point, and they're making over $44 million combined a year to do normal things at this point. Like,
if you're paying a defensive tackle that much money, in my opinion, they got to be a disruptor, like a pass rusher, or a dominant defensive, like a run stopper. But they should be a dominant pass rusher, and none of them generate pressure. Like, I mean, even Johnny Newton at this point. Johnny Newton had a big game last week, but he's still young. But I mean, I agree. Allen and Payne haven't done much yet. So I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
I think it's the first time we've heard Dorrance Armstrong's name called yesterday in a long time too. That's the guy they paid a lot of money to. So now they can get rid of both the Alabama guys. Can they get rid of John Allen? Is he under contract?
He's the one they can't get rid of.
He's the one. He's the one that they could cut bait and not take a loss on next year.
They get $17 million back if they cut it. He's not
guaranteed anything.
Yeah,
he's done.
Yeah, so Jonathan Allen, if they cut him, they get $17 million back. That's his dead cap hit, but there's also that's his cap hit. But basically, it doesn't hurt us if it comes right back to us one-on-one. From what going into the year, Terry McLaurin and Deron Payne were the only untradeable, uncuttable players because their contracts were so front-loaded. I don't know what Deron Payne's looks like next year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're already paying him, so you can bring him back. But John Allen, I think, is a no-brainer. And Jorginho, at the start of the season, I thought for sure he'd get moved by the deadline. I don't know. I guess he got hurt before the deadline. But either way, they were winning games. I don't think they were in the same position to get rid of those guys. But you can tell the owner doesn't mind getting rid of guys. I mean, he cut bait with Chase Young and Montez Sweat as soon as he stepped in the door. So it's not like they have a problem with that.
And how about that? Chase Young and Montez Sweat never had a 10-sack season here. Dante Fowler, 10.5 sacks, making $3 million this year. Making $3 million. Imagine adding a Hendrickson to go with Fowler and Armstrong and company. You wouldn't even really have to think edge in the draft.
You prefer, if available, T. Higgins or Max Crosby?
T. Higgins, because I'm prioritizing the quarterback. The quarterback is the franchise, and building around him and taking advantage of his rookie contract is the number one thing that has to be on the back of our mind. I love Max Crosby. Max Crosby is one of them ones, but we desperately need weapons around Jaden Daniels, man. I'm taking the receiver.
Now you say that the contrarian point, I guess, viewpoint would be this year with minimal and a rookie quarterback, they're fourth in the league in offense.
Yep.
Is he good enough to be the offense and you can load and build an elite defense?
I'm not doing that to him. I'm not making him be Superman. You do not have to keep carrying Jags. I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go all in on your skill set. We're going to give you everything you need to succeed. I'm not banking on you making heroes out of zeros. Like, we're not doing that.
I agree with that. And defense isn't very sticky either, right? Even if you have a great defensive player, it's all about scheme, all about turnovers. It doesn't really carry over year after year. I'd rather give Jay Daniels some talent around him. And look at Joe Burrow has 2 wide receivers. Jalen Hurts has 2 wide receivers. Matt Stafford has 2 wide receivers. All these playoff teams have, I mean, they need to. Exactly right. So even say what you want about Jordan Addison and the Vikings. I think he's a pretty damn good wide receiver too. They have 2 over there as well. So so there's a good balance.
Bring me Garrett Wilson.
Give me either one of them. I'll take him or Higgins.
Bring me Wilson. Oh my gosh.
I love Wilson in the draft.
I need one of those.
By the time we get to wild card weekend, will this be a 12-win football team?
Yep.
I think so. I think the Cowboys are going to pack it in. I think the Cowboys, like, they're going to start running, like, they're deep, third down. They're bottom of the roster guys. They're going to try them out for the next coach and all that kind of stuff. And I think we're going to get a W.
12
I mean,
wins.
if they get the Mariota that played against the Panthers against the Cowboys, they could whoop that team without Jaden, frankly.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, Rio, you're off to do the Bleacher Report thing, man. Have a great stream, and always appreciate when you stop by, man.
Imagine that we're talking about a 12-win season with a rookie quarterback, a rookie GM, and 1,000 new players, man. What a time to be alive, y'all.
You would have thought, man.
It is. Glad we're doing it with you, buddy.
That's exactly right. Good point.
Appreciate
All right, man. Peace, y'all.
Yes, sir.